Two, one.
Well, after that major rally last Tuesday, we've had 3 more up days, but it kind of feels like we're stuck. Are we setting up for the Turkey Day rally? Well, kind of undecided this morning. We're going to talk to Ryan Craver at 8:35. He's going to give us a detailed look at Amazon, also some retail earnings thus far. Got to talk about Microsoft moving all over the place. It's Monday. It's a short week. It's Premarket Prep.
Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep with your hosts, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I'd buy that stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Okay, good morning. We're starting out in the red by almost 3 handles here at 45, 24, 75. We got some good resistance up top. Wednesdays and Fridays highs right near each other. The buck is down again. Finally took out that support at 103.80, down 30 cents at 103.49. Bonds down a little over a half a point, 114 and 27 seconds. Crude on the rebound, up $1.51 at 77.55. Gold trying to clear 2K again, but down 960 at 1975.10. Silver, that's down 38 cents at 23.47. And Bitcoin having another good day, up $670 at 37,235. Let's bring in Triple D here. Triple D, we got some things to talk about. I want to first start off about how about that wild action in Microsoft on Friday and back up. What is going on?
Well, and wild pre-market action here too, Joel. I mean, bring up the pre-market chart here. I love the 3-chart system here too, but we had some huge, and I mean huge moves here overnight. The stock almost kissed 380, just under 380, 379 change. Did you say 380? Did it get 380?
Let's check this bar. Survey says 379.97.
Holy, those whole numbers, the big whole numbers come into play. Just under 380. So we were up over $10 here at 4 o'clock this morning. We've given back 2/3 of that rally now, down only up $3 here. I think profit takers, probably you had people buying the dip because buying the dip has just been working on the mega cap tech for a long time. Obviously, we had, bring in Mitch because Mitch is going to have the news here. Just to update everybody here. This is the Sam Altman fiasco or whatever you want to call it, but it's turning into good news, I guess, for Microsoft here. Money Mitch, first, how was your weekend? Secondly, what the hell is going on at Microsoft?
Well, it went better than I guess it went at Microsoft, or should I say for at least another Sam, right? The Sams, man, they've been getting hit lately.
Sams are moving the markets. So we know last week, just to update you, I'll get to the news. So last week, Sam Altman fired from ChatGPT.
Friday late. Friday late.
They wanted to kick him out.
And that's what really hammered Microsoft on Friday, because this is, the brains, the CEO, the brains behind ChatGPT. And
so everybody freaks out. Everybody freaks out, right? They're like, oh my God, no. What's going to happen to ChatGPT now? Yes. What's going to happen to Microsoft's investment in OpenAI? But then they find out that, he's joining them. He's going over to the you could say the dark side of things. He said, you know what? I'll go over to Microsoft and help them out. I think this was a clear situation where Microsoft's CEO saw an opportunity, right? They said, okay, well, you guys are going to oust the person behind this. We'll just take him and put him in our AI division and see who else might want to come over from OpenAI. Maybe this can help us create our own AI chips, right? And things like that, because that's the truth that Microsoft wants to get into. They want to compete against Nvidia, possibly create their own AI chips and push that to the next level. So with Sam Altman, now joining Microsoft's team.
Directly,
do you think that Microsoft can now take lead here and maybe really compete against Google?
Well, I mean, Microsoft here, and obviously the 4 o'clock traders were really excited about this, but you just got to watch what you're paying up for. I mean, $10 is probably an overshoot here. It's good news. Microsoft was actually, Joel, down another $3 after hours. So Friday night,
I see that.
it was down another $3. So nobody had a hint of this coming. And they're like, man, just digesting and saying, without Altman, ChatGPT is not going to be the product that we want it to be. And then, of course, we turn it around, obviously, just on one headline. And this is what I talk about. Headlines are the drivers that make the technicals happen. People always ignore headlines, but it's headlines that make those charts, folks. And headlines are going to make the Microsoft charts here today. It's nothing to do with what the chart looks like. The entire Microsoft move here in the pre-market is off of this headline. Headlines move stocks.
What was this 361 print, Dennis? Is that a bad print? Did you see this? I'm like,
yeah, at 8 o'clock. Yeah, those are bad.
That was a bad print.
Yeah, bad print. We got a bunch of
what a
here.
8 o'clock prints again. If you're new to the show, 8 a.m. You have a lot of, I don't even know, like it's because again, we don't have on the FINRA trade reporting facility. We don't have transparency there. I've asked for transparency to regulators before in open comment letters. We've had a number of other, market participants want more trade transparency. Over 40% of your trades go through FINRA TRF, and that's made up of so many things. Dark pools, off-exchange market makers, crosses. It's just all lumped into one. I'd like to see a breakdown a little bit more. So at 8 a.m., I assume these are late reported crosses that always come because they're always outside the market and you always see these moves. But we don't really know because they don't give us enough transparency.
They don't know. I know.
They don't give us enough transparency on the tape. But there's always crazy moves at 8, but these aren't real moves, folks. These are trades that have already occurred, and they're not occurring inside the market. That 361 trade you couldn't have bought Microsoft at 361
or sold
this morning. No.
Yeah. Or on Friday.
Sold. That trade, just ignore it. It's like,
I know.
And again, because we don't have transparency in that FINRA tape, we have no real idea of what that actually is.
Nope.
You know who this sucks for, right? I mean, the technical trader, right? The guy, it's like, oh, hold on, there's a line up there, Joel.
No, yeah.
I could do the technical trader is like, oh, we got this 361 print, and that's good.
Well, I'm going to hold out for
that.
No,
it's an old trade that's probably occurred, just an old cross.
Okay, so let me give 2 comments on this. One fundamentally, and then I'll give my technicals on this. Fundamentally, I just don't think this is good for Microsoft. I mean,
really?
Well, yeah, I don't.
Why? Talk to me about
why? Because I don't know. I mean, I think this is going to totally destroy the relationship with C3AI. I mean, they fire a guy that they're working on him, and then Microsoft hires him. Oh, what is he going to do?
And again, this is ChatGPT, not C3AI. So just
right.
ChatGPT. They may be looking at the AI, but
yeah, ChatGPT, right? So I don't know. I don't think that's a good relationship right there. I don't. Just to me, it seems murky. I mean, between the 2 companies, and they got a lot of money invested. So they fired the guy. Microsoft hired him. They have a big investment in the other company. I just don't. I just don't think it's. I don't see synergies there. I don't know. I can't tell. Initially, the street thought it was bad when he got fired. That's my fundamental thing, which doesn't mean a whole lot. But technicals, it's all about 367 in Microsoft. They had 2 other lows there last week. They slammed it there last night. They got a little slammed it there on Friday, got a little bit under it in the after hours trading. But as long as stays above, that's just a huge level. Above 367, it's still Microsoft. It's still the bull, whatever. I don't know about going back to 380. But if somehow this loses 367, not only Microsoft is going to be in for a decent decline, but you saw what it could do to the market as well.
And again, it's all over the place. So, obviously the 4 o'clock traders are like rah, all-time highs coming from Microsoft. They got the brains directly working for them now. And that's maybe what the 4 o'clock traders were thinking. But obviously other traders have Joel's point in mind here too, that, what goes on now with OpenAI? What goes on there? Like, is there an issue here? Microsoft obviously owns a big part of that company. So now they directly owns or are directly working with Sam Altman.
And they have
I don't know if we have the
49%
answers
stake.
to all these questions,
So,
but
we
I think
don't.
the market, the market has those questions that you're asking, Joel, or we wouldn't see a 7-point sell-off here in the pre-market at Microsoft.
Yeah, and of course, they own majority of it, right? They own almost 50%. They own 49% stake in OpenAI.
Is it 49%?
Yes,
Huge
49%.
stake,
This is confirmed from this morning from Reuters.
Yeah.
But one thing, of course, is that they're seeking an evaluation nearly triple of what they originally were when Microsoft invested in them. They were valued in January at 29 billion, and they're seeking a valuation 3 times that now. Is OpenAI. So at some point, maybe this gives the room for Microsoft just to start developing their AI chip until they can come to a point of maybe where they can buy OpenAI completely, right? I mean, or at least take a majority
Well,
stake.
they can.
Right?
I don't know if they wanted to do that. I think there was other reasons for them not owning 100% of the company. I read something on it last week, but I don't know. Again, this is above our pay grade on this show.
It is.
To
Yeah,
speculate
it is.
on,
Definitely.
why,
This is more
firing Altman, now bringing
acquisitions
him
and
on Microsoft directly. Is it good? Is it bad? I mean, obviously it was bad for the stock when they were losing Altman. They were like, what's going to happen now? Now they're working directly with the company. They traded it up to an all-time high in the pre-market. It is pulling back here. I think if we just take that, and look though too, at all these stocks, I mean, these companies are still going to be the driver for the next bull market. And that's where people are positioning. That's why people are paying extremely rich valuations for Microsoft and for Apple and always for Amazon, and Google's valuation starting to become higher as well. I mean, people are paying up in Nvidia, and including myself. I mean, people are paying high valuations for these companies because they believe these companies are the ones that are going to drive the next bull market when it comes. And some people think the next bull market is coming sooner than later.
A final technical comment. I gave you the 367 on the downside. We'll let the street make the decision on longer term. The all-time closing high was on Thursday. Was 376.17, and you're starting to get some trading in that area now. Just over the last hour and a half, you're developing some resistance in that area. So we'll see how this plays out. We'll keep an eye on the support, and then it's traded through that closing high several times. But if that holds up in today's session, then I think we'll see if there's any more down. Hard to call for downside in Microsoft, but there's definitely a potential catalyst here.
All right, guys, let's go ahead. Let's take a look into the biggest earning of the week, or maybe the biggest earnings of the quarter, right? At least I would say. And
Ever,
none other than, yeah, might be the biggest
there's
report
an argument
ever.
to this one of the biggest earnings reports ever. There
All
is
right,
that
so
there.
here's the outlook from the calendar. Of course, if you guys don't know what this is, Benzinga Pro, of course. If you don't have it, pro.benzinga.com, of course, get your 2-week trial team. And what I'm looking at here is what are we expected to jump by, right? So I'm comparing the previous quarter, and then if we wanted to, we can compare also, of course, the last time we reported around this, right? Last time we reported in November, right, 22. You know what the EPS was? It was 69 cents. The revenues were at 5.77 billion. So year over year, everything's going to look really good here, as they're expected to come in at 336 for the EPS, and estimated revenues all the way up to 16.123 billion, which would be 5 billion above that. And just to give them perspective, that's as much as they went up from the second quarter of the year, right? The first quarter of the year. They went up about 5 billion to the second quarter. So they're expected to jump again another 5 billion here. The bar is, at least in my eyes, as high as it can get. Can they reach this bar? Can they jump high enough to grab that bar and pull themselves above it?
Yep. And I mean, that's just a great summation of it all here, Mitch. I mean, I'm long Nvidia in the long-term portfolio. I'm intending to take it through the report, even though I'm up 20% in 2 weeks. And it's like, oh, I could take the 20%, move on. But I wanted to add this stock not for a trade. I wanted to add this stock because I believe Nvidia is still going to lead the next bull market whenever that comes. And the valuation isn't as crazy as it once was, which is insane to think about. Stocks run so far that it's actually cheaper today than it was 6 months ago, even though the stock price has gone up because the earnings have grown so much. Now, the question is, can they get over that bar? The bar is super high, and they're going to have to not just beat that number, they're going to have to blow that number away because you got a stock sitting up here, trading near an all-time high, if not maybe even before. I mean, we're $8 away from an all-time high here, Joel. It's not out of the realm of possibilities that in the next 2 trading sessions, because we have today and tomorrow before it reports, that it does hit an all-time high. But, obviously investors very excited here. Stock is trading up in the pre-market as well. It's up another $4 here. I mean, this is the stock that is going to dictate the next course of action here in the overall market.
Well, I mean, technically, the 500, you got a lid on it right now for now. I mean, actually that all-time high is over 502. It did trade up to 520 after hours following the last report. There's super high expectations, but this is a company that's met those expectations and exceeded them. So, I mean, I think it did one earnings report after another great earnings report. If you're long, you just got to stick with it, and probably also if they say something that that the street doesn't like and has a big fall, then there's no reason to think that they won't try and buy the dip in it. So it seems like it's almost a Goldilocks scenario here for Nvidia.
I'm kind of with you.
Yeah, we'll check the straddle tomorrow, and see where it's at, because who knows? It's got to be this has got to be one of the biggest.
Be wide, baby, wide.
Yeah, wide on this one. So we'll see what the options traders are thinking about it, but it's going to be big.
All right, guys, and of course we got more stocks reporting this week. Here's the calendar for the week of the 20th. What's on your guys' radar here? I see, of course, tonight we get Zoom. You guys looking at Zoom? Zoom, baby. Lowe's, you got Medtronics, Best Buy tomorrow, Dick's Sporting Goods. Man, these are all good ones to talk with our guests coming up, right, Joel? Of course, we got Ryan Craver. We'll take a look at this action before they report tomorrow morning. But keep tuned, guys. We got a retail expert today, so excited to get into that action. Which one of these stand out to you guys this week?
Well, keep the retailers for Ryan. I'd say we keep the retailers for Ryan because he's the expert in that sector here, and he's coming on 8:35. So we'll talk retail stocks here in about 15 minutes. Awesome. I mean, it's obviously Nvidia. Tonight, Zoom is always interesting here. I'm actually have a long position in Zoom. You know how I like to get long ahead of the reports. I am long ahead of the report. That's just simplistic strategies. Like, people like to talk about stuff ahead of the reports. They tend to outperform ahead of the reports. Just the quantitative, trading there. So I don't know if I'll limit my comments on Zoom for that reason.
I'll make a comment. I mean, this fits the bill of stocks that have been rallying like crazy off their earnings reports. If they do anything okay, been in the gutter, right? I mean, it is off. It's slow of the move. But, I just kind of feel like you're going to be looking at this chart after the report. You're going to be like, why is this at 72? Something like that. Some crazy report.
Maybe maybe not a bad call to even hold it through the report. I don't like holding stocks through reports, but I'm kind of with you here too. I mean, Zoom has actually, it's an exercise here, Mitch. And again, I have the long position that I'm intending to sell ahead of the report, and probably this morning. But Mitch, bring up, in Benzinga Pro, if you can bring up the quarterly reports here, because I feel like Zoom usually beats. I don't feel like this is a company, even though the company has been really beat up. It's like they beat and the stock falls. They beat and the stock falls.
Exactly.
Could you see the opposite occur here, like a beat and the stock rallies? Because, this is just, and am I wrong? Or I don't know. Maybe it's selective perception on my part, but it seems like they usually beat.
Yeah, I'm looking at, especially at the EPS right now, because I got to calculate revenues. Yeah. But overall for EPS here, a continuous beat. Let me see if I can even catch. Yeah, I'm gonna look to see if I can catch even just one miss here. No, I don't have a single miss.
So here you go. This actually sets up well into the report because it is a stock trading near a 52-week low. I do have a small position in Zoom here still, just to keep clarifying that I tend to sell at the open. It's a day trading position, but I'm almost talking myself into like thinking about going long into the report. Joel's talked me into it here. I never even thought about it before this conversation, but I'm like, you're in this like Goldilocks scenario here for stocks. It seems like right now that they're finding reasons to rally. A flat out beat, which Zoom continuously does, probably equals $6 or $7 on this. What's the straddle on this puppy? Let's go take a look at that too. So give your analysis.
And one
here.
thing,
I'm looking up
one thing that I would think about is also you know, I think will matter a lot on today, right? If we can have a good tech day, then yeah, I'll definitely be watching this one into the report. Of course, if we get hit today because of the Microsoft coming down or something like that, then maybe we'll be careful with Zoom. But I know Kathy will be watching this tonight.
Yeah, Kathy,
one of her largest positions.
She's been doing okay.
About $6, Joel.
Okay,
it's about $6. I think if they say anything okay, I think you see the $6 on the upside. So I think the bar is actually fairly low here, and Zoom has a history of getting over the low bar. This isn't a bad one to take a shot on.
Dude, well, definitely. I mean, if I wouldn't be short into the report, you know, I mean, that's, you know,
I never go usually go long into reports, and I'm contemplating it. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, because that takes a lot of guts to hold a day trading position in long through a report, but I'm contemplating it.
Well, on the upside, things are pretty wide open on the dailies. A couple highs just under 68, but of course, you know, when the report comes out, we'll see. But really, kind of wide open until 70 on the upside.
All right, let's go to Uber Technology as they plan to issue $1.2 billion in a convertible senior note due in 2028, exclusively to qualified institutional buyers. Uber is definitely best of breed in this space. Can they continue on their trend higher?
Yeah, you got a pullback here. Unbelievable move for Uber as well. I mean, just quietly, some stocks have just not stopped going up. We give Nvidia so much love, but basically, this stock bottomed October the 26th. Nvidia bottomed 3 days later than that, but in the same area here, and we have not stopped. Really, end of October, there's been this nonstop bid in a lot of tech stocks, and Uber, which hasn't got much love in the media either, has went from $40 to $54 in a straight rocket ship mode here with very little pullbacks too. So you get a pullback here overnight on an offering. Does the pullback get bought? The dip get bought? Probably.
Yeah,
not much. Not much to look at here. You have you're trading below your 3-day low, which was 53.16. But I think what you got to do, we'll see what the street thinks here. 52.39. You haven't hit that level yet. That is your 4-day low. So I keep an eye on that. I mean, this is what happens when stocks have rallies. They do things. It's time. Good time to do an offering, and it's probably going to be pretty well received. So the closing high for the move, it's not an all-time closing high, but people might be stuck a little bit wanting to get out at the close. 54.44. A gap fill is only $1 away, but right now the only number on the downsides could come into play. 52.39 is your 4-day low.
What I'd call out is that monthly chart really looks to me like a nice little cup and handle. So if it can hold 50s on pullbacks, interesting looking chart there for the monthly. You can see that on the bottom right chart. You guys see that loud and clear there from Joel's.
It's a verb, That's Uber. I'm gonna Uber.
It looks like an Uber, right?
Yeah,
looks like
you're
right.
We don't lift it. You don't lift it. You know why? You can't say you don't lift it because we won't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Say, I'm gonna go lift it. No, we're gonna Uber it.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe they had the wrong name for that. Okay. Yeah, verb. When they become a verb, that's what you want. If you're starting a company and it becomes a verb, you did something right.
Let's go to some analyst ratings. We don't talk too much about them anymore, but we got some interesting ones today. Penn National Gaming gets an upgrade to buy from Bank of America. Bank of America upgrading the stock to buy and giving it a $30 price target. They talked about upgrading it because based on the number of significant factors like the rollout of ESPN bets. I try to give you guys those things early. The analysts love to give it to you like 2 days afterwards.
You've been calling that one.
We're talking about here the initial download and activity is higher than originally expected. And they're definitely keeping an eye on promotional discipline, while in Q3 earnings for Penn 3 core gaming business has remained stable. So their core, casino business remaining stable. They're just pushing really on that ESPN and noticing that the downloads are higher than what was originally expected.
This fits into that category that I was talking about of like this recent market rally allowing you to get out of a lot of stocks that, have either been very disappointing or just flat out trash. I mean, Penn has been a very disappointing stock. So I had this my wife's RSP for a long time. I sold into the recent rally. Obviously, maybe I've sold soon, but, I didn't sell. I'm just looking at junk, and like a lot of the stuff that has just come up here, has really, been disappointing for a long time. Maybe Penn's going to turn around, and maybe, the bets product here is going to turn them around. Obviously, got the pop when they announced that news back, and then it gave it all back.
Gave it all back.
I mean, it's $140 stock in 2021. It's 25. I mean, those days are long gone. That was when Portnoy was taking over the world. That's just not there anymore. So you're back to, it's a casino. You're really buying a casino with a little bit of, it's Caesars. It's the same thing. It's all them. And I mean, there's a company here. This isn't a zero. There's some of these companies that are zeros. This is not a zero. There's a company here. I just don't know if you've got to look at valuation here now and say, is it reasonable or not? I mean, I look at this and I don't know. I've recently sold it. So I think you're just getting an opportunity to get out of a stock that just hasn't been very good.
All right, I will fully disclose I am short Disney, which is related. I just wanted to state that I am short Disney there. Kind of gave you guys that trade.
Why the short Disney trade? There's interesting.
You remember on Friday? This is the buy the rumor, sell the news thing. I talked about it on the show right here that I was going to come after.
Yeah, but I don't remember. I have a goldfish memory. So
so I was looking for pops, kind of green to red moves, bull traps on this one, going towards the gap on the daily. You can see that.
Yeah.
You see that gap to the left. I was just trying to see a rejection off that level. But I am still short Disney. I got 95.10 on that one. So pretty good.
High almost. That's nice. Trade.
Yeah, you see that? Not too bad on that one.
I don't ever get
double gap up there. So down 27 cents. It's because Value Act got into the act. So,
yeah, that's right.
Double. I don't know, Dennis. I mean, you held the pen this long. For me, the only reason I would hold on to it is, I look at DraftKings. I mean, are they that much better? I don't know. I cannot believe I watched a lot of football this weekend, much more than I mean, of course, I watched the Michigan game, which was a little bit unnerving, and then I watched the whole. Did you see the Lions game, Dennis?
Yeah, crazy comeback.
Yeah. But
I got the Lions shirt on right now. Here we are, baby. 8-2. That's when the last time they 8-2.
But I just
have they ever been 8-2?
1960.
Is that when they were 8-2? 1960?
Yep.
60 years?
Yep.
A few years before I was born.
Yeah, a few years before I was born. But man, I mean, the advertisements for FanDuel. I mean,
it's relentless.
It is absolutely relentless. I know. Maybe Penn needs to start doing some advertising, but I applaud the move here by Penn Entertainment, or by Bank of America. So I wouldn't sell into this, but I'd maybe I always am looking for the catch-up trade, and this has a lot of catching up to do. So
and maybe I'm early. Maybe I've gotten out of this. Like I sold the GNRC too, and maybe this is the big comeback, and I would have got all back to even on all these stocks. Maybe it's possible, but I've always traded my portfolio the same way. I've bought good companies on dips, and when I'm in crappy companies or stocks that have been disappointing, I sell them on rips. I've always traded it that way. I've always even day traded that way to a certain extent here. I'm always biased to buy, the stronger stocks on weakness and sell the stocks that have disappointed on, on strength. So it's the same thing. I'm just kind of going with that. There's going to be moments where you're like, man, I wish I would have held on to that, because I would have got my money back, or I would have, but I think a lot of these times, I think I'm more right than wrong to be selling stocks that have disappointed on strength as opposed to buying them on weakness. It's just been a better call, because a lot of people in Penn Gaming last few years been trying to call a dip on the stock for a long time and just continue to go lower.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I know Sean Udall was really, he was hyping this thing all the way up or all the way down. I wonder what he thinks at Penn. Maybe I'll dial him up, because at DraftKings, I mean,
he's your classic contrarian. So Sean,
I know.
Times,
I know.
When there is blood in the streets, that's the one he's buying. He is your ultimate first guy buying the dip on this stock. He will catch the falling knife.
He will. He will.
Yeah, he's into catching falling knives. He's got a few cuts on his fingers from that, but he's still alive.
Definitely.
So.
Definitely.
Jay, I think some people were looking at DraftKings when it was at $10. I thought it was a pretty good deal there. My friend actually has it in the 11s. I remember we talked about that. He's not selling. I'll tell you that much on DraftKings. He said, "Man, this is kind of a generational position now. I wouldn't touch it at all."
I mean, you wanted DraftKings multiple times, and you know what? We got back down there again, Mitch, back at the end of October to that 25, 26 area, and we just couldn't do it. I mean, and we should have. It's too late.
Now it's too late. It's too late.
I bought back at the end of October. Bought SMCI, Bank of Nova Scotia, which is not a great company, but just dividend was
Should just listen to Joel, man. We gotta listen
Nvidia
to Joel a little bit more, man. That's how it goes. All right, guys, let's go ahead. We'll touch a little bit more of the ratings later today. We still got a Boeing one and a Dutch Bros. Just because if you need your coffee, we always got to touch a little Dutch Bros. But let's go ahead. Let's get to our guest time. Just a couple minutes early here, but we got a special guest. We can talk all about the earnings that are coming up. We can talk about the earnings that have already come. You guys in the chat, I want to hear some retail questions. Let's get after it with our guest today.
Ryan Craver, CEO of Commerce Canal, joining us on the busiest shopping week of the year. Ryan, how you doing?
Mute, Ryan, mute.
Oh, mute.
Ryan, mute. Don't worry, that was my fault.
My apologies.
No worries,
doing well,
Ryan.
doing well. You guys seem pretty ecstatic about the Lions, it seems, huh?
8-2.
When we finally get some winning,
man.
man.
Is misery in Detroit Lions. If you've been a Lions fan, all you've known is misery your entire life here. So we've got to celebrate this like we were winning the Super Bowl. You might as well get on the bandwagon here right now, Ryan, because in Detroit we believe we're gonna do it all here. This is the year. This is our year. At least win a playoff game. It'd be nice to win one playoff game.
Let's make the playoffs.
Definitely the most exciting team to watch. So
good comeback. That was fun.
Yeah, huge comeback.
Makes for a pretty fun day. Yeah.
All right, Ryan. My comment on retail earnings season, Dennis, and I'll let you go. It just seems like it's all over the place. Like some stocks are getting killed, and others are doing like Walmart, all-time high, like Target near multi-year low. It seems like there's no continuity. What's your take on that?
So yeah, let's talk about Walmart and Target. Clearly, the same issues have been plaguing Target for a long time. They continue to not post positive comp sales. They continue to close underperforming stores. They continue to blame poor inventory levels. They continue to blame theft in stores. I mean, the fact of the matter is their sales were almost down 5% on a comp. So I know I said this quarters ago that Brian Cornell, could potentially be the victim of an activist shareholder, but nothing to what Target does to me looks like they've got a turnaround coming anytime soon. They're playing the profit card as opposed to the sales card, but we all know if you don't increase your sales in retail, you've got some serious problems, and the profit card only plays itself so long. So I would stay away from Target. I think it was a dead cat bounce. I don't see anything that's changing. Walmart, on the other hand, a lot more grocery within their business. They've definitely got digital that's pumping a lot harder. They've now got advertising tied to digital. So look, they are on a run. They continue to do well. They're still less than 6% market share on e-commerce. So I think they still can continue to extend their growth. They're clearly pushing Walmart Plus very, very hard, which is their version of Prime. So I can't deny it. There's a reason why Walmart's at an all-time high and Target continues to fumble across the bottom. So I think it's playing itself out very well. Then you go over to the department stores and stop me, Joel, if you want me to stop talking about this.
No, I'm following you. I'm following. Keep going.
Yeah, we're loving it.
The department store that's going to have the massive Thanksgiving, Black Friday parade that we all like to watch across the street, Macy's.
Macy's can still afford that, man?
Yeah, exactly. Perfect point, Mitch. Right? Like these guys, did you see the numbers? The numbers were terrible. But yet they were up because they were just above where everyone thought they were. They thought they were going to be even worse.
Such a low
I think,
bar.
you know, yeah, it's Kohl's, it's them, it's anyone in the department store space. I think it's death by 1,000 cuts. The only one, and this is one that Dennis loves to always bring up, is Dillard's. That seems to be relatively okay.
Just did like a $20 special dividend. How I have no idea how Dillard's does it, because you go in those stores, they don't feel any different than Macy's. It doesn't feel any busier than Macy's, but man, they must do something right, because this stock just continues to be the stock. In the end, maybe it's only Dillard's that survives here, Ryan.
niche, great markets that are a lot more sustainable, a lot less business on the coast. So I think, you know, if you're forcing yourself to play within department stores, that's probably the only name that I would think about.
I see these malls soon becoming like the good old skating rink, where you see it shut down on the corner, and it's a big building where no one even wants to buy it anymore. So that's always interesting outlook on Macy's and Kohl's. But let's go to the top, right? Let's go to Amazon. What's going on in Amazon so that we can understand from the top down?
They just have so many different levers to pull. You know, candidly, I do have ownership in Amazon, and the majority of the business that we serve is Amazon. So just being completely upfront with that. But went to their major seller conference 2 months ago, went to their huge advertising conference here in New York earlier last month. They are the toll booth of the internet. They are the toll booth of e-commerce. They will continue to push and push and push in various ways. So if you think about their advertising continues to grow strongly as the AWS, or the web services business, is slowing a bit. But then the one thing that no one's talking about, that I think they probably will start talking about in a couple quarters, is they are finally firmly going after FedEx and UPS. We talked about it a couple of years ago, but they have now relaunched that service because they now believe that they have the supply chain to compete. I just can't see how they don't continue to grow with the fees they're charging in advertising, seller services, shipping, and then their underlying core retail business is actually profitable. So we like to make fun of them not making money, but cash flow will continue to pump, and I think they have a very rosy future. One downside that we were always worried about was their internationals. They're international, but as you can clearly see, you know, in some of these slides, their international's back, right? It's that yellow line. It's back to a growth period. So I think that, you know, they're not like the Targets of the world who are only focused on this domestic market. They clearly are looking to expand outside you know, the North American territory, and will continue to go. But look at that, dating back to 2016, just how much the business has evolved. They used to be 70% of sales was their online store sales. That's now less than 40%. So they are a behemoth, and they will continue.
Are they going to be an AI player here too, Ryan? Are they going to be a big part of AI, you think, too? Like, I mean, obviously, you know, Microsoft and Apple, and we've talked Nvidia, you know, nonstop on AI. Does Amazon have a place here as well?
I would have said on Thursday night, yes. But I think what happened over the weekend with the move of Sam Altman over to Satya Nadella and Microsoft, that's a pretty interesting move that's happened in the last, 72 hours. They will definitely play a role within AI. Will they be the leader? I think that remains to be seen, who's going to be the clear leaders. But
Microsoft obviously wants to be the leader, or they wouldn't be bringing Sam Altman on directly. I mean, this is a big move for, you know, a big statement here. Let's get your thoughts on that. Microsoft's interesting. It's almost giving back its entire pre-market gains here. It's trying to go red here. They initially were up $10 on this pre-market, Ryan. Again, I just want to get your thoughts on this whole Altman thing, because we talked about it off the top. But I mean, this is such a big story here today. Is this like, you know, this is a statement move for Microsoft, is it not?
Yeah, no, it's a huge move. I think first of all, the Friday news was shocking, and then the Sunday night news was
Even more
probably
shocking.
like, right, well done, Satya. And I would assume he's going to bring many of his, direct resources over to Microsoft as well. So we've got Google, who's clearly delayed in what they're doing. You've got Microsoft, who now has the guy, well, one of the co-founders around OpenAI, who's the clear leader in the narrative for AI. So Microsoft is well positioned, and I would assume Altman will be bringing some sort of chip play to Microsoft, and we will continue to see them continue to push that story as hard as they possibly can. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, going back to the Amazon here, and where's the Amazon Prime, the TV channel, is that moving the needle at all, or it's just too part of the company? I mean, it's hard as heck to get on to watch those Thursday night games. Where is that something just on the back burner, a nice thing to have, or do you think it's something that could add value to the company moving on farther down the line?
I just don't think they've monetized it yet completely. So if you backtrack 2 years, when they would approach our big advertisers, they would have asked them for a minimum of $250,000 to run an ad campaign. They then realized that they couldn't sell enough to these mid-tier brands, and so they dropped that down to 50,000, and then subsequently dropped that down to 15,000. Whereas today, as of a week ago, they launched sponsored TV that allows you to buy 15 and 30-second clips regardless of your size. So I think it's a much longer runway. Clearly, they overpaid for the NFL business, but it's also the most rabid fan base that you can potentially get at any one given time. So I think that they won't see a return anytime soon, but it's a much longer term play. Do keep in mind, though, that advertising business is growing faster than Facebook ever grew in its infancy, and it's grown 26% on a very large base. So I think it's going to be the dividend to come for many, many time.
Yeah, I view it like a kind of like a little bit of a doorbuster, right? It's just to get the customer in to check out the product, and then they'll probably stick around. That's the way I think they view that NFL deal. They paid to get some eyes, because once they get on Prime, well, maybe they'll just stick around. Let's go to the action that is in the chat. The chat has a lot of questions for you, Ryan. They're super excited to ask different areas. So we're going to run through some of these pretty quickly here. Let's do shop first. Then we'll go to like ANF and AEO, of course, American Eagle and Abercrombie. They want to hear about those stocks. But first, let's do shop.
Yeah, Shopify, so they came out with their earnings. You saw their GMV grew about 26%, if I remember correctly. I like it. Look, again, there's really only a couple different plays within this e-commerce space. Amazon clearly, and then Shopify plus maybe Adobe. Shopify and Amazon are now looking like they're going to get married. And it also looks like Meta and Shopify are also going to extend their marriage a bit more. So look, if you're trying to sell something online, you are either trying to sell it on Amazon via Shopify and then market via Facebook, aka Meta, or Google. Those are the clear leaders of who will continue to see share. Shopify traded down pretty considerably, but look, the underlying economics are they continue to grow their GMV, and they are a Goliath within this business. I think, if they pop above that previous high that they were sitting at, in that 70 range, I think it will extend, and I think we will probably see some pretty good news from them for Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
And the high flyers, ANF and AEO, that's the way I got to call them, because it doesn't seem like they want to be stopped here, at least price-wise. What are you seeing underneath the hood, Ryan?
Yeah, so ANF and clearly American Eagle, just keep going. Follow those trends. They continue to have a nice lift in where they are. They are more focused on the stores that actually perform for them. They are extending further and further into marketplaces, so selling off their own websites. I like both of them. I think keep playing them, set your stops, as you start to see new highs, but they are within specialty retail, they are performing. If you look at retail, it's pretty simple. You've got the Walmart and the big end that's actually performing. You look at off price, so Burlington, TJ Maxx, Ross, those guys, they are performing. And then within specialty, you've got very certain ones that are performing. These are two names that I would put doing very well within specialty.
All right, I just want to go and talk a little bit broad here for a second. We're talking about retail. We're talking about these earnings, and we're talking about a potential recession. I mean, is the consumer just going to keep on spending and just keep this party going? Are you seeing any weaknesses, looking out on the macro? I mean, we're pretty much in a Goldilocks environment here.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something I'm concerned about. It's something that we talked about last quarter when I jumped on. Look, credit card debt is at its highest. However, inflation adjusted, it's not. So I still think that there is some room there. I do believe that the one thing that we are starting to see as the shelter number comes down, the inflation number comes down, so the underlying inflation is not as bad as we truly think it is. I think that's a bullish indicator that we will likely see some improvement in the pricing from some of the retailers. So I have started to see some of the retailers bring their pricing down. Believe it or not, for the key items that we follow and we sell, we are down year over year in that pricing. So I think there are some tailwinds. However, as soon as we start to see some weakness in the next 7 days is going to be a good indicator of that. I think the consumer is a bit stretched, but as of right now, the consumer does not look stressed based on where they are spending and buying.
Seasonality in play here too, Ryan, though. Like, we're coming into a very busy season, the season for retailers here. I was actually just out, in the world a little bit, not in more stores really, but I took the kids.
Go outside, Dennis? What?
I know, not very often. I had the kids, and we actually took the kids. I actually took the kids to Toys R Us, which is still in existence in Canada there, and it's actually busy. I was like, oh, this usually stores nobody in here, but it was busy. And I mean, there was some stores that were busy, and I think we're just coming into that seasonality period. So you got to think like the next month still feeling pretty good for retailers. Seasonality, they outperform here, but it's like January comes, what then?
Good point. I thought you were going to say that you were going to Dillard's, not Toys R Us, but
I should be going to Dillard's. That's the place to be, apparently.
Right. I hear you loud and clear. How high are we going to let the unemployment rate creep up before we start thinking about doing other things? It's still relatively strong. As of right now, I do not see weakness in the consumer. They're spending, and our numbers show that. However, I know that there could be, a boogeyman at the end of this next 7 days.
Referring to Black Friday, huh?
It could. So what's interesting is if you talk to Walmart, Target, Amazon, they used to refer to these next 5 days, starting on Thursday, as Cyber 5 or Turkey 5. They brought that forward and they now call it Turkey 11. So all the big sales, Turkey 11. So all the big sales largely started at the start of this past weekend. So initial indications are Friday was gangbusters, Saturday was strong year over year, Sunday was strong year over year. If I had some different data at my fingertips based upon even the start of those sales, I probably would say something different. However, you extend a sale, you might be just pulling the sales forward, right? So that may lead to weakness on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, let's see. The retail group that is responsible for all retailers, they said they believe it's going to be basically flat to last year in terms of growth rate. So inflation adjusted, they think they're going to get about the same amount of growth. It's tough to say, but it seems like everyone is anticipating a better than expected holiday season.
And what's the hot toy? Oh, go ahead, Dennis.
I was going to say one last one before we let you go here. I just want to know what you think about Alibaba. Because, and we're taking you over there, it's I believe this is like It's not an all-time low here, but it feels like an all-time low. I mean, this stock just, I was looking at a chart. I don't forget who was posting it from the weekend. They've continued to grow the company and grow the company and grow the company, yet the stock is at like 7-year lows here now. Is there any turnaround hopes here for the stock? I mean, the company, what are your thoughts here like Alibaba?
I'm a big fan. I think it's a Goliath within that market, and they continue to post relatively decent results. They are, like I said, the toll booth of the U.S. is Amazon. They are the toll booth of China and parts of Asia. So I'm a big fan. I can't understand why it continues to do so poorly. I've been in and out with tight stops many times, even since we last spoke. So I would love to get back in, and I think it's worthwhile. I do want to leave you with one flyer that I think might be a little contrarian that's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you remember Groupon?
Yeah.
Groupon has essentially just cleared all management, cleared the board. I think if you're willing to put a little money behind them and just let it fly and not pay much attention to it, I think that might be a turnaround story.
Groupon turnaround story. Now there's a big call from Ryan Craver here. I don't know if anybody's calling for a turnaround here, but it's gotten beat up. There's definitely $120 back in 2018. It's $9 here now.
Yeah,
so
it was $240 back then. Okay, Ryan, one final thing here. In the 50s, it was Barbie, right? The hot gift. 60s, G.I. Joe. 70s, Star Wars. 80s, the Rubik's Cube. On and on. PlayStation, Xbox, Cabbage Patch doll falling there too. What's going to be the hot new Christmas gift for 2023?
Oh, someone on my team is a lot better to answer that. One thing that I know that we're selling a boatload of this year within the whole STEM area is 3D pens. So those pens that you fill with filament to make things. But yeah, I'm sorry, Joel. You caught me off guard on this one. You got to tell me if you're going to ask the top toy.
Well,
maybe it's a share of Groupon.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
I thought maybe Barbie would, but with the movie. Ryan Craver, he's the CEO of Commerce Canal, giving us an incredible look at the retail sector. We'll dial you up after the first of the year and see how those holiday sales went.
Very good. Thank you all.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Right. Let's go ahead. Let's get back to the markets. How are we looking here, Joel?
It's a tight range. We're green. We got a couple closes in the same area. I mean, quiet couple days after that big move on Tuesday. So, we talk about big moves. You talk about a resting period, a little bit of consolidation. Well, that's what we have here. Clear bogey on the upside is the two highs. The one high from Wednesday at 41.25, and then you got almost up there in the pre-market on Friday. So if the bulls want to grab this market by the horns and take us into the holiday, feeling good, they got a double top to clear and only 10 points away.
Deutsche Bank upgrading Boeing to buy, announcing $270 price target.
Woo!
And Boeing was on the radar to see if China would make any comments. I know a lot of people were kind of waiting to see what would happen in that situation. We did not get that answer. Of course, it did have a big order that went through last week. That's what gave them the lift. Can they stay up here riding high without that China mention? I don't know. That gap down below to 200. I feel like it's a good pullback opportunity.
There was an upgrade last week too, wasn't there? I remember another upgrade.
I'll take a look at it, Dennis. No worries.
I'm pretty sure it was upgraded again last week here too. Wow. Boeing's kind of in the middle of nowhere here to a certain extent. We've rallied. I'm thinking about 50% retracement, 240. Call it down to 176.
I just did it then. Yeah.
You did it on there for me. So with this 50% retracement.
Right there.
I mean, you're right there. So, naturally, you'd think some resistance is going to start to pop up here. But again, we're in this buy mode right now. Seasonality favors the markets. I'm more inclined to buy dips on everything right now just because I think the next month sets up well for stocks. I think 2024 is going to be very rough for stocks, but I think you got a month here where, we're still in, we're still green light go. At least the bulls are.
Yeah, really no clear. I mean, you just had this relentless move down in September. I mean, they walked it down from 230 to 190 before they made the low of the move. So I don't know if it could be, if it's going to be that kind of move, but it's marching. I think this will be market dependent too. Like if Rob, bull market, we're buying, I think you get the momentum, but I think if somehow we stall, which doesn't look like that is a possibility right now, I think it will fade back. But pre-market high, short-term target 211.76. Hit that a couple times.
Let's go to the bros. The bros. Let's take a look here. JP Morgan upgrading Dutch Bros to overweight, raising the price target to 35. This has been beaten down. I've talked about that we really need to kind of keep an eye on comparable sales here because they have been coming down and down. I'm going to pull up the graph for us right now, but what do you guys see on the price action?
Same thing. All these stocks were just moving together. IWM, smaller companies probably dependent a lot on financing, and rates have, I think rates have peaked. So, on pullbacks here, these stocks are getting bought. TLT is holding in here around $90. I mean, unless we see a significant sell-off in the TLT, I think a lot of these stocks still set up well into the end of the year. Again, I don't know for next year. I think recession is going to be the concern more than rates next year. But as of right now, I'm still sitting here kind of bullish stocks.
Room up to 29. I don't know if it's going to get there today, but you peaked there on Wednesday. You sniffed it the following week. Also, you peaked right at that area at the beginning of September. That's only 65 cents away. So keep an eye on that. Get above that. Clear, sustained bid. Got some more room on the upside for Dutch Brothers. If you want to top of yesterday's range for potential support, that's just under 28 bucks.
All right, let's do a little ticker time here as we got a couple minutes left here, about 2 minutes left. Which ticker should we go to? What do you guys been trading? Anything that you guys want to talk about here? Take control.
We're looking at the chat here. So let's get some tickers here from the chat. We got 2 minutes here. I mean, obviously this week, a number of earnings and videos we've already talked about here, but you got like Best Buy going to report. You got Deere going to report. We got Nordstrom going to report. HPQ. I mean, Abercrombie and Fitch is blowing it away. Multiple people want snow, and we haven't talked snow for a while, so let's go there. Okay. SNOW sets up pretty well here. Here's an interesting chart here, Joel. I mean, you've had the move. You've checked back. I don't know if I'm putting it in my long-term portfolio, but short-term here, I kind of like this chart. I think I'd be a buyer of snow here.
Yeah, you got good support here. Lows, the same area right near 60. You filled that gap from before. So, up $1.27. And then also, if you want to buy it on strength, I mean, it had two highs at 163. Kind of tight ranges the last 2 days. So, above 163, boom, you're looking at that high from Wednesday, and that's close to 170. I concur. Snowflake looking pretty good.
All right, guys, it's at least news in the Microsoft things. Looks like 100 of OpenAI employees, hundreds of OpenAI employees are threatening to follow Altman.
Yeah, I told you this is not good. This is going to get ugly.
It's going to create a division for sure. But I don't think that OpenAI has much option here, right? As Microsoft owning 49% of them. Doesn't give them much, right?
What do you mean?
The story is still unfolding here. And I mean, if you get, the story is still unfolding here. So we're very early in the story.
We'll see what happens with that action. Let's wrap it up, team. What's driving the boat today, guys? What will you be watching, Dennis? Is it the TLT anymore, or is the TLT?
Yeah, no, for sure we're watching rates. I'm just sneaky. The TLT is having a little sell-off here today. Market is ignoring it here right now. We got the Microsoft news really driving the bus here today. But you lift under the hood. You've got a lot of IWM components fairly weak here. I mean, IWM is just turned to the green. It was red earlier here. But you got a lot of things just trading lower. I'm looking, it's kind of like a Christmas tree, some red, some green. Very mixed day, very mixed session. Historically speaking, this week tends to be a little bit quieter. Volumes come in. People are going on vacation, especially when you get, Monday might be busy. Tuesday, start to get to Wednesday, it starts to slow down because we're getting a holiday trade. So we know that tends to, slow stocks down just a little bit.
Primary focus today, at least for the S&Ps, is that the two highs at the 45.40 area that would confirm another leg higher. I mean, That's all there is to it. That's been the high of the move. You take that out, things open up like another 20, 25 handles. And the bulls seem to be defending, the 45-20 handle. We spent a lot of time trading in that area, really, the last few days of the week. So keeping an eye, see if we can take out that double top. But that's all I have for today.
All right, Joel, and who will be our guest tomorrow? And I do want to let you guys know, at least there is a 20-year bond auction at 1 p.m. Maybe you might want to watch what happens out of that. That's at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Thanks, Mitch.
That's why I wanted to note that, at least here at the end.
It's been moving.
Joel, who's going to be our guest?
Tuesday. T3 Tuesday, and I believe we're going to get Red. Yeah, Red Dog back on again. Yep. So that should be fun.
He's going to be talking a lot. I think he has a nice little 2-day option for you guys to join him, and he'll be also covering Nvidia's earnings. So if you want to keep up with that, stay right here. Of course, Premarket Prep. Joel Elconin at Spoos, Dennis Dick, Triple D Trader. Get him out of here, signing out. Of course, you guys can keep up with them on the closing print. That's coming up at 3:30 today. And, of course, you got my show later today, Start Swing Trade. We always got something for you at the end of the day. Coming up next, we got live trading. Don't go anywhere, team. We got a lot more for you guys. And in December, first week of December, December 4th through the 8th, I'm putting it out to all of you guys out there. Anybody that wants to meet me in Detroit, downtown Detroit, let me know, guys. Willing to meet up. I'm going to be in Detroit from the 4th through the 8th. Would love to see you guys there. Smash the like. Now get you guys over to live trading.